Here are your taxes and legal requirements for Aussie Amazon sellers explained. Before you get triggered by this, I know that business is spelt wrong, but for those who know, you know.
All right, guys, what is going on? Now, you probably... What's going on?
Look at his lips!
Now, there's a complete video for everything you need to know. There's a remake for 2024, and I'm going to go through top 4 things that you need to know. I'll write them down and I'll explain them. There's everything you need to know, okay? The most important parts for when you are setting up your business to sell on Amazon here in Australia. Okay, so first thing here is ABN or company. So which one is better for you as a seller? Now, this depends on your current situation. Now, before I get into this isn't legal advice. I can only talk from my own experiences. Okay, I would highly suggest to speak to your accountant or a tax professional, a legal professional on this. I'm only talking from my past experiences, okay? So to get what is best for you ultimately is to talk with a professional, right? But in saying that, an ABN or company, what's best for you as a setup? So it really depends on your income level, and it depends on, I guess, your current situation, right? So when I first started selling on Amazon, when I first opened up my own business, started doing any business on my own, I had an ABN, right? And there's a couple of reasons why I had an ABN. Now, if you want to do an ABN, you need a tax file number. Now, an ABN, for one, is free. Okay, so it's free to make an ABN. It's free to set up an ABN. The only thing you need to set up an ABN is just your personal details and a tax file number. That's it. Now, a company, why a lot of people like setting up with a company is because it separates them from their business. So more on a legal standpoint, if anything does happen, right, God forbid, it hasn't happened to myself or any of the people I work with, my clients or students, has not happened. But if you want to be extremely safe, you can set up a company to separate yourself from your company's entity. So if anything does happen, you get sued or you have any legal troubles, it's going to be directed here to the company and not as you under an ABN, under a sole trader, as an individual, okay? So that's the only things to note there. The other thing as well, with a company, right? With a company, you're looking at a yearly fee, usually, okay? With a company, you're looking at, say, maybe anywhere from like $300 per year to $600, right, per year. So there's also tax that plays into this. We'll get into that in a second. But as for actual setup, you can start off with an ABN. I started off with an ABN, just going absolutely free, okay? And I didn't worry with a company. I set up a company and I didn't even end up using it, right? And this was before I got my own accountant and everything. I would just suggest to go under an ABN, okay? But the next factor, taxes might play into that. So my word of advice, start with an ABN. There's no use for setting up a company if this is your first business you're starting. Maybe a lot of people starting already have an ABN, like if you do Uber or Uber Eats, or you have another side hustle that you've got an ABN, you can use that ABN as well. Company, it really depends if you want to spend this per year, and if you really want to separate yourself, then you go company. Okay, now when it comes to taxes, there's a couple of taxes. There's 2 in particular, or 3, I guess technically, that are most important to you. So taxes with your business setup, that's going to be income taxes and then GST and import duty. Okay, these are more so when you're getting your product in and the cost of that. But the income tax really depends on your situation. So this is where the ABN and company come into play as well. So this really depends, your tax, and this is why it's always good to talk to an accountant. It depends on your tax bracket here in Australia, right? So if you already have a job and you already have income coming in from somewhere else, you're going to be in a particular tax bracket, right? So if you are earning, say, maybe like 40,000 to 60,000 per year, or 60,000 to 80,000, you're going to be in a particular tax bracket. Now, if you want to start bringing in extra income from your business, okay, when it comes to personal income tax under an ABN, after you get past that 150, 180 grand per year, your income tax is going to increase a lot because it factors in your actual tax from your job as well, right? So really it depends on your tax bracket. It depends how much you're earning. Okay, so if you're earning a lot, your income tax bracket is going to be higher and you might end up getting taxed more. That's one thing to consider. With a company, right, it's usually about, say, the corporate tax rate is usually about 27%, around 30%, and that's a flat rate. The only reason, right, is if you're not earning a lot in this business, right, or if you're not earning a lot, just say flat out, and you're just starting this business, maybe you don't have a lot of income, If you set up a company, it's still 27% or around 30%. Doesn't matter how much you earn. With an ABN, if you're not earning too much, you're going to have a lower tax rate because it depends on your tax bracket. So that's the only thing to take into consideration, right? If you have a lower income and you're not really earning anything from your business right now, ABN might be the way to go. If you have a higher income, right, maybe a company might be the way to go, because if you have a higher income, if you're under a sole trader ABN, you're going to get taxed a lot. It goes up to like 47%. Depends if you're like over 180 grand a year or something like that. That's the thing to consider with income tax, okay? So really depends on your financial situation. Again, talk to a tax professional. Now, when it comes to this here, GST and import duty, these are the only other taxes to consider when you're getting your product into Australia, because usually we deal with Chinese suppliers. Here are the two taxes to really take note of. So GST, or goods and services tax, is 10% here in Australia. Now, import duty is 5%, and these are two taxes you're going to pay when getting your product into Australia, okay? So to make it safe, just add 15%, okay? So usually what happens is the GST, the overall, is just 10% on top of your total order. So let's just say if you get something from your supplier, and let's just say if it's, we'll do it over here, right? Let's just say if you get your total order, which is $1,000, okay, including shipping, right? This is including shipping as well, this price. That's going to be, the GST is 10% on that entire order. So that means that your GST in total is going to be about $100, right? Now, the import duty, the 5%, is only on the cost of goods, okay? So let's just say without shipping, your cost of goods is, say, about $800, okay? We'll put this over here. Let's say if your total is about $800 without shipping, okay? That's just the product itself. 5% all up is going to be about $40 because it's only 5% of the 800. So in total, you're looking at about 140 to 150 bucks. We'll just say 145 bucks. That is on top of your total order. So if your order's $1,000, after taxes, you're looking at about 1,145, okay? So that's what you have to add on. They're the only other taxes when you're actually importing your product into Australia. Not so much the business side, but this is just something to note in taxes. So next thing, business bank account setup. And again, I know it's spelt wrong, but if you know, you know. Okay, so business bank account setup. This really depends on what you want to do. Now, I would highly suggest to get a business bank account set up, because usually through your bank here in Australia, it's usually free, or my bank that I'm with, it's just like a $10 a month fee, so it's really, really easy to set up. When I first started, I did everything through my personal, and over time, it was a mess because I had personal income, I had business income and expenses. All my income and expenses weren't divided. So I would just suggest, before you make any purchases of your order, before you start making any sales, just do it all through the business bank account. It's just so much easier. Come tax time, you just have everything separated. That's the only reason why I would suggest a business bank account. It makes everything so much easier. If I was to start again, let's make a business bank account. It's so simple to set up through your bank. You just give them a call, you can set it up online, and you're good to go. Now, the last thing to consider is product liability insurance. Okay, now I'll talk about the price in a second, but product liability insurance, the only reason you should consider this is because once you start selling a lot of products online, you want to save yourself with product liability insurance. So let's just say, for instance, you're selling a kitchen item, you're selling something that could have the potential to harm someone. Maybe it's got sharp, maybe it's got sharp corners, or maybe it's just somehow, even if it seems like the most simple product, if there's any hazard there, could be a choking hazard, could be some kind of like inflicting damage or something on someone, right? Anything where you could be held liable if a customer hurts themselves or injures themselves, product liability insurance saves that, right? So usually for that, it's anywhere from about $50 to maybe $150 a month. Sometimes it's less than 50, but that's the ballpark range of what you're looking at. You can Google online product liability insurance for Amazon sellers, and you can get quotes up, okay? You can get quotes up of what you're selling. Usually you do this later on, once you're actually selling. I wouldn't bother doing this in the beginning, okay? And don't stress if you start selling and you don't have product liability insurance. Just get it sorted when you're at the right point. If you're making consistent sales, okay, and you've got something going, right, when it's consistent, then you can start looking at this. But this just saves, the two things that will save you, if when it comes to actual legalities, a company here to separate yourself, or even if you have an ABN, product liability insurance. Okay, if you're under a sole trader, under an ABN, product liability insurance is the main thing, because that insurance is the insurance to save you for the damages. Okay, in terms of like legal action, right? And again, I'm not a professional here. Talk with a professional. But in my opinion, the company is the legal side, okay? The actual damages in terms of cost, product liability insurance. Okay, so they're the two things to note if you're looking at legal action. Now, I've sold through Amazon products on Amazon, and I've drop shipped products before, okay, in Australia, right, without these two, and I was fine. Okay, I even sold products that were teeth cleaners, could have damaged people's teeth and gums. They weren't the best products that I drop shipped back in, this was back in 2020, right? I was, at the end of the day, it was pretty much dumb for me to do this, but I didn't have either of this for the dropshipping business, okay, just under an ABN, and I was fine. Nothing happened, okay? If you want to be extra safe, I know a lot of you out there do stress about this. First, I would suggest to just do the damn business first and then get the legality set up, because everyone worries about this stuff, but then they don't even end up selling anything. So, first thing I would do before all of this is just get the business set up, get started, and then you can worry about this. If you want something to set up, do an ABN, worry about the rest later, okay? But product liability insurance is just something to take note of down the line. But that is pretty much all you need to know. The basics of this is really set up pretty simply. There's not much that goes into it. Again, if you wanted to get started today, just do an ABN. Get an ABN set up using your tax file number. Sort out the rest of this stuff later, maybe just a business bank account, okay, once you start getting serious into this. Apart from that, that is pretty much it. If you have any questions about this, comment down below. Give my channel a sub if you want. I've got a whole bunch of Amazon Australia content on my channel. Come follow, come subscribe, come look at the content. I've been posting on here for 6 years. Apart from that, if you do want personal help with this stuff, or if you want to actually take a step in the right direction, check the links down below in regards to Amazon. Apart from that, hope you guys are having a wonderful day or night wherever you're watching. Stay safe. See you guys in the next one.